Beautiful abundant souls. Welcome to the Abundance Club. I'm your host, Amy, and it is so great to have you here tuning in from wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you, and I hope that this finds you well. I hope that this transmission meets you where you are at. And something that I want to remind you of before we dive into this episode, because it is coming through strong. So if you are here and you are listening to this, it is for a reason. And I want to remind you that you are exactly where you're meant to be. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that the resistance that we feel around where we are, like quite often we feel like we're not where we want to be. We feel like we're not where we're meant to be because we're focused on what's been. Maybe we're back in the past, or we are focused on the next thing. When's it coming? When's it landing? We're focused on what we don't have. And hopefully, my last episode, if you haven't tuned into that, I suggest going back and having a listen, because that's really about meeting yourself where you are and finding a beautiful, loving acceptance of where you are. And this is a really, really key piece in conscious aligned, soul aligned manifestation, is finding that acceptance of where you're at. And this is such a big part of it in terms of opening up the floodgates to the abundance that life has for you, that is here waiting in our field. And often this resistance around where we're at is what keeps that from manifesting in our life. So, what if right now you were to just take a moment, be with yourself, take a breath, maybe pop your hand on your heart, and just affirm to yourself, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Like, what does that feel like for you to approach your day, to approach this moment from that recognition and from that knowing that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be? Like, even just saying that, you can feel the resistance, right? And the resistance, a lot of the resistance is just the grip of the ego, the grip of the past, or the attachment to future outcomes. And what if you were just to meet yourself and say, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be? One of the things that I really wanted to come on and speak about today with this conversation, most of the conversations that I have here and the transmissions are around co-creation, because it is something that I'm so passionate about. My approach, however, and I know many different manifestation teachers will have their approach, my approach is spiritual first. It's always from the spiritual, energetic lens, from soul embodiment, like from this idea that we are first and foremost co-creators in this beautiful world. You might have even heard of it's spoken about that the world is a simulation, and that this vaster, greater part of us, our soul self, is what is leading us and creating this life when we allow it, right? When we align with it and allow it. And that's why the work of soul alignment, and it's not even work, it's our true nature. It's coming back into remembrance of our true nature that allows for us to live our most magnetic, purposeful, fulfilled, abundant life. I had a business of for over 15 years with my yoga studios, and I've been out of that now for a couple of years. And I've never been someone, even though I've had my own business for over 15 years, like close to 20 years, really, in different ways. And I've never been one of those business owners that have put a lot of emphasis on the strategy piece. And I know that, we all have our way of operating in the world as business owners. And for me, that just hasn't been the pathway for me. It has always been intuitively led, soul led choices. And I want to talk about why this is so important right now, and why the movement, this shift that we're seeing occurring in the world around shifting from more of the mindset intellect, planning, strategizing, which is very much the masculine way, the masculine paradigm of creating that we have been doing for centuries, right? It's been focused a lot around matter creating matter and action and planning creating the results, right? The cause creating the effect. This movement right now, this deeper underlying calling that we are sensing, whether we're conscious of it or not, is this transition from more of that masculine, egoic way of creating, coming into more of that soul led, feminine, intuitive, effortless way of manifesting. And this is really exciting because it gets to be so much easier. I'm excited about this, particularly as someone who's never really been interested in all of the strategy. And I think if you're doing the strategy without soul alignment, it can feel like you're pushing shit uphill, right? It can feel like why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you come back into resonance with the vastness of who you are, which is beyond your mind, beyond your physical body, beyond the roles, and you tap back into who you are in your essence as a spiritual being, co creating this world alongside the divine aspect of you. And the exciting thing is that this may have seemed woo for a long time. I mean, sages have been talking about this. This has been in our spiritual tradition. This has been in our spiritual history for centuries, for eons, right? And we have been living this and breathing this without even realizing, but science is catching up. And so now we have scientific words, we have scientific explanations to a lot of this. But if this is resonating with you, it is because you know this to be true on a deeper soul level, because you are a soul first, having this human experience, which I mention quite a lot. So, why I think it's important to talk about this is because we create from who we are, from the energy of who we are. But let's break this down a little bit more. And you would have heard of me speak about this. You would have heard about this spoken before, that we create from our frequency, from an accumulation of our thoughts and our beliefs, our feelings, our actions that are painting the reality, that are co-creating our external reality. And I want to just go a little bit deeper into what that is and what and why that's occurring. Basically, our frequency is a energetic sum, the energetic signature of what we're thinking, feeling, believing, and embodying. And this is why, we talk about vibration, like it's the vibrational tone that you hold. Now, science will back this up by saying that essentially we are 99.9999% space or energy. And so we can now look at this in terms of like, this isn't just something that is woo, science can back that, which is great, right? Everything holds a vibration. Everything holds an energetic signature, including your thoughts, including your goals, your dreams, your desires. So every emotion that you feel, every thought that you think, every belief that you hold carries a specific frequency. And that frequency is what is magnetizing in your reality. So, for many of us, particularly because we are going through this time of awakening, we are getting triggered into our trauma body and what's stored in there, because it's very much our survival patterning, is a lot of fear and doubt and overwhelm and scarcity. And these are that a lower contractive vibration, right? Literally a lower and slower frequency than, say, more of the elevated, higher vibrations of love and joy and abundance, right? These are our higher expanded frequencies. They're also the frequency of our true nature. We are joy. We are love. We are abundance. That is our true nature. So, what that tells us is that when we come into this world, we are designed to call in and experience and co create a life of joy and love and abundance. So, if you are feeling, and I know many are at the moment, if you are feeling what is coming up in your body at the moment is that you are experiencing the doubt, the trepidation, and the fear and the scarcity. And maybe this is because something is triggering that in your life right now, some loss, some particular challenge, where you will literally feel a sense of constriction in your body. Maybe your breath feels shallow. Maybe you're literally experiencing the feelings of tightness in your chest or anxiety or depression. I've spoken about before how we can use that as an opportunity, as a gateway to transmit those lower frequency emotions into a higher vibration. What that essentially means is we can shift out of our conditioning because it's not our true self. Our true self is not fear, it's not contraction, it's not doubt, it's not scarcity. That comes from our wounding, from our conditioning. So, whether something traumatic has happened to you in your life, or whether you have taken on the conditioned beliefs and feelings and thoughts of the world around you. And a lot of the broadcast that we are receiving in the world and have been probably for most of our lives, whether that's from well-intentioned parents and teachers that have got their own conditioning that's being projected onto us, or whether that's through the media, whether that's through just the general energetic tone of what how people are feeling that we can take on because we are essentially energy and energy moves, energy vibrates. So one thing that I want you to remember when you are feeling those emotions, it can feel really true for you in your body. But it's not who you truly are. You are not your fears. You are not those negative emotions or those lower vibrational emotions. You are not those constrictive thoughts. You're not even the pain that you might be identifying with in your body. So when we then know that then okay, we have the choice. We have the sovereign choice to shift out of that. We don't need to try to raise our frequency. We don't need to try to raise our vibration. Here's a fast track way to be able to do that naturally, instinctively, organically, which is to remember. Just come back into this beautiful remembrance of who you truly are. I honestly believe that this time that we are moving through is a time of awakening, yes, remembering even more so. You are not trying to create a new identity or being. You are coming back into who you truly are beneath the conditioning without the illusion of separation and scarcity. It's like we can take away the veils of illusion that have been creating our reality, and we can choose, and we can choose at any moment to turn a new page. Become the scriptwriter because we always are. We are the ones. We are the ones behind the scenes orchestrating. No one is doing it to us. There is no God sitting up in the sky condemning or judging or, influencing our reality. We, our soul self that is tapped into the divine, we are the ones who are doing that. And I'm not reminding you of that to disempower you. I'm reminding you of that so that you can feel fully fledged in your own sacred sovereignty to choose again. to create from who you truly are, which is wholeness, which is love, which is infinite possibility. There are infinite possibilities for you right now. When you shift out of those lower vibrations, remember who you truly are, align back to your truth, then you can start to really play in the field. Then you can start to go, okay, what is it that I actually want to see? And we know scientifically through the observer effect that there can be infinite potentials, infinite waves of possibility in the quantum field. And the one that we are experiencing is the one that we are choosing to observe, that we are placing our focus and our intention on, whether that's through visualizing, whether that's through verbally intending that, which I think is really, really powerful. I know for me and what I've been advising my clients to do, the women who are in my program, is speak it into existence as if it is already so. And in the words of Florence Scovel, she's brilliant. You know, your word is your wand. So if you are looking around into this 3D reality, which by the way, as we know, is just a reflection, it's a reflection of your frequency, it's a reflection of your internal. If we're looking around and it's not appeasing you, it's not ideal, speak the words of the reality that you want to see as if it is so, and your reality has to catch up. It is law, it is sacred law. So when you come back to your truth, wholeness, love, and you affirm that I am wholeness, I'm love, I'm infinite possibilities, what happens to your energy, to your frequency? It naturally expands. We create so much from our subconscious awareness, but our subconscious awareness isn't determining what is true, what is false, what is real, it just feels and hears the words and the vibration of what we're feeling, and then it goes to create that reality. Like then attracts in like. We become magnetic to our desires through our resonance. So if you are here desiring $1 million in your bank account or desiring a loving relationship with your soulmate, but you are still dwelling in doubt and fear and separation and scarcity, even if that is in another way. Let's say you're desiring a loving partner and soulmate relationship, but you're still living in scarcity around your potential and your capacity, let's say maybe around finances or your work potential, whatever it is, then you are not able to call in that which you are seeking. Okay. This doesn't discriminate across different areas of your life. If you are believing in scarcity in one area, you're believing in that scarcity in another. So to tap in to the version of you who is in the loving soulmate relationship, who is living their dream life, who has infinite resources of funds and prosperity in the bank account, you need to now start to align with that version of you. And this is why doing the inner work around elevating your frequency to come back into wholeness is everything. And it's interesting because old paradigm was like focus on the strategy and focus on doing this. And I'm not saying that strategy doesn't have a place and that action doesn't have a place. It absolutely does. But we first need to check in with our frequency. Frequency comes first. Frequency leads. And if you're doing all of that without the alignment piece, without having a meeting with yourself every morning to tune your vibration, to literally tune the signal that you are sending out, then you are making life a lot harder for yourself. If you are sitting there in the wanting and the hoping and even the praying, but you are not letting yourself feel the essence, the truth of who you are in your wholeness, in your expansiveness, in your full potential, then you are not going to be that vibrational match for what you're wanting to attract in, because it is your frequency that determines the experiences and the people and the opportunities that come into your life. And it's all here waiting for you. You do not need to go out and make it happen. You don't need to go out and create it. It is here in your field waiting for you to become the receiver of it. So this journey is never about getting anything outside of yourself. It's about becoming the vibrational match for it. Now, the thing is, this is not something that we just do once. This is a practice. This is a consistent practice of tuning your instrument each day. And there are ways to do that. There are practices, there are processes that can help you to do that. And the reason that we need to have that consistency is because we are going up against years of conditioning and programming. You can think of like it being like a computer program that we need to kind of control or delete, release those old patterns that have been creating our reality and align with a new one. And we need to dwell in the dominant frequency of who we are becoming, of that aligned, abundant, whole, magnetic being. Some may call this your future identity or your highest self or the evolved you. We need to be able to tap into and dwell in that identity more than we are dwelling in the fear and the lack and the separation and the scarcity. This is how we collapse time then. So that becomes your most sacred priority every day. If you are not spending your morning, the first part of your day, which is so sacred for you, if you are still picking up your phone, if you're going straight into your work without checking in with yourself, without clarifying who you are, who you want to be today, then you're letting the world decide. And the world's going to decide based on your frequency. And most likely that is in your patterning and your conditioning and in the habits. We don't create a new reality by being the same person that we have been over and over again. And I know that if you're listening to this podcast, it is because there is a bigger dream here for you. In fact, I can assure you that if you are listening to this podcast, it is because there is something more here for you that your soul is asking you to become aware of, to make space for, to tap into. You have a divine mission and purpose that only uniquely you can carry out in this lifetime. And I think you know this. And it can be really easy to not say yes to that divine mission if we are in our conditioning. Because the ego is going to keep reinforcing, keep reminding you of all the ways that's not possible for you. Because you're probably looking around and going, there's no evidence of this. Who am I to do this? How can I have, and it's likely that that dream, that sense of more of this bigness in your capacity scares you. And if it does scare you, I'm really excited for you because you are on the precipice of your next level of expansion. And in order to get there, you need to start to get really in tune with, really clear of the version of you who is living that reality. And in order to do that, we need to be in the embodiment, in the practices. Listening to a podcast, reading a book is not enough because a lot of that is still happening on the level of the mind. If you want support to be taken into the practices, this is exactly what we do inside the Abundance Club membership, which is soul led and magnetic. The reason I have called it soul led and magnetic is because it is through reconnection, remembrance of our divine truth that we can tap into our most authentic power, what we are here to create, how we are here to move throughout the world. And it is that that enhances our magnetism more so than any strategy, more so than anything that you could do. What is so much more important is who you are. And when you can have the intention to tap back into that, and to do the practices. And if you want to know what the practices are, I have a myriad of them inside of this membership. I have a growing library of the meditations that align you with your future self, that align you with your higher self, the meditations and the practices that expand your channel so that you can be a vessel for the light of the Creator, so that you can receive the intuitive downloads, the impulses, the ideas. You can receive all of the ways in which your soul and your spiritual guidance team are wanting to communicate with you. We need to become more open to receive that, because that is the way that life moves through us. That is the way that we serve. And so, right now, if you're going through a time in your life where you're feeling constricted, where you feel like things are crumbling around you, where you are feeling the challenges, this is a really, really exciting point of transformation. Remember the butterfly in the chrysalis. It is not comfortable. There is a literal death that occurs there of the old self. And the women that I'm working with the most at the moment are going through this identity shift, this death of the old, this crumbling. And I celebrate the ones who are going through this, because you have two choices. You can stay on that old timeline if it feels too much. Many stay on that old timeline because in order to move through to that next level, we have to be willing to let the old stuff go. We have to be willing to dissolve like the caterpillar dissolves. We have to be willing to dissolve the old identity. But this is exciting. This is where we get to transmute the darkness into light, where we get to raise up our frequency to be the version of us who is walking that miracle path. And when you are walking that miracle path, the synchronicities show up, the opportunities, life reflects back to you, the courage and the confidence, like the way that you can show up even when life isn't giving you the evidence. And I was speaking with someone about this yesterday, how we can go through a time in our life where we feel like we're doing all of the work, and it almost feels like and this is what happens during these periods, is that the light can be a bit concealed. And so we can feel like we're just trudging through the darkness. I can feel a bit like the dark night of the soul. And you might have even had those moments to go like, God, are you even here? Like, Spirit, are you even here? Why does it feel like I'm going through this alone? And all of this, from a Kabbalistic lens, they talk about, this is what is preparing your vessel for greater expansion. That cracking, that crumbling, that constriction is supporting you to expand, to be able to hold more of the light, more of the abundance that the Creator has waiting for you. And I would love to support you if you want to come inside either my community, Soul Led and Magnetic, so that you can be supported with the practices that help you to move through those times, so that you can attract in what you are desiring faster than if you're dancing between this void, in the void, but dancing between the evolved identity and the old self, and the evolved identity and the old self. And you're just kind of going back and forth, dancing between the two. We want to be able to close the gap. We have the opportunity to collapse time so that you can anchor in this frequency. It takes consistency, it takes support. And when you can do that with the support of others around you, there is an acceleration, there is an amplification. We see this all the time when people meditate together, when they are in community. There is always an amplification of the energy, which means you become more magnetic. And so embodiment and nervous system regulation and subconscious programming, reprogramming, which is all the things you get inside the Abundance Club membership, they are key because they allow you to sustain the frequency of abundance, love, and power without slipping back into fear and contraction. So, what is something that can help you right now? And I just want to give you a couple of little pointers that you can take away from this episode. Start to believe in yourself, my friends. Start to believe that, and I'll circle back to where I began with, you're exactly where you need to be. That life is here to support you. That you are so much more powerful than what you might believe. So what if you just start to entertain this idea that you are such a powerful co-creator? What would you choose? How would you choose to think? How would you choose to feel? And what would it take for you to every day, every morning, as many times in the day as you can, prioritize your frequency, your energetic signature that you are putting out to the universe? Ask for the support that is here for you in the ethereal realm. You have access to more support than what you ever have before. It is here. Ask to be shown. Ask for the signs. It's for the synchronicities. And take that action even when nothing feels like it's happening, even when no one is showing up. What would it be like for you to trust in the unseen, in what you can't see, touch? Like, this is where we rely on that sixth sense. We go beyond just the physical senses, and the physical senses are in limitation. That sixth sense is when we go, I just know there is something here for me, even when I can't see it. And so I am willing to then hand over to God, hand over to the divine, to my spiritual nature, and trust the process and trust the divine timing. So if I can support you with this either inside the membership or in my one-to-one mentoring sessions, the acceleration that can happen just in a couple of months by you being with a mentor, whether that's me or somebody else, who can help you to shift to this shift is so important. I know I speak about it a lot. But when you can finally do that, and when you can finally anchor in that new frequency, the way that you will see your life transform around you, your relationships elevate, your abundance accelerate. That's when life starts to feel miraculous. And this is what is so available for you when you start to say yes to yourself, when you start to prioritize yourself radically more than you ever have before. That is what your soul is guiding you to do. So it's time to shift out of the contraction. Know that all of that is the old identity. What is available for you right now is endless potential. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to become the version of you who is no longer dwelling in doubt, fear, and overwhelm. And that can take some practice, that can take some consistency, but it starts with a choice. And I'm going to leave you with that. All the details are in the show notes for the Abundance Club Soul Led and Magnetic. We now have a live soul and frequency call that you do with me every month, and then a second coaching call. So you get group coaching with me once a month. We have our new moon transmission and activation, which is the energetic practice that helps you to align with the higher vibration. All of that is available for only $55 a month, but the price is going up in November because there is so much value in that. But if you join now, you get your 7-day free trial and you get to lock in that lower price point as well. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone. Feel free to also leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you shoot it through to me via Instagram or my email, all the details in the show notes, I will send you a personal thank you with a gift. All right, beautiful souls, go well. Have an amazing day, and I will speak to you again soon. So much love.